He was a 2012 Olympic bronze medalist and won 2 gold medals for England at the 2010 Commonwealth Games. He's looking forward to next year for obvious reasons that we'll talk about. And a couple of years ago, Tom and his partner Lance Black married. And on Valentine's Day last year, he announced that him and his husband were expecting their first child through surrogacy. Their son, Robert Ray Black Daley, was born 27th of June last year. And it was my absolute pleasure to catch up with Tom Daley when it was baking hot a few days ago. He was in London. How are you, Tom?
Hi, Simon. How are you?
I'm very good, Tom. And what about you and Lance and Robbie and everything?
Yeah, we're all doing absolutely awesome. Thank you. Although it's pretty warm in London today.
How warm did it get?
I think it got to 35 today, something like that. It was, I don't know, but it was hot and sweaty on the tube, let me tell you that.
Good grief.
Yes.
I'm surprised that you go on the tube because
lots of people say that. People don't talk to each other on the tube. Come on now. Nobody even says anything to anyone on the tube. You know, it's a very British way that we don't speak to each other on the tube.
Tom, it's 1 year to go till Tokyo 2020. I know this is probably top of mind for you after your family. How's the training going, especially now that you've got to factor in your baby son Robbie to care for? Does it put a whole new perspective on training and getting ready for Tokyo?
Massively. It changes perspectives in so many different ways. We just got back from the World Championships where we managed to qualify in the 10 meter synchro and the 10 meter individual event for Team GB next year. You know, of course, the hardest part is going away training and traveling when, you know, Robbie's at home with Lance. It's, you know, of course, I miss them both terribly. And, you know, it just changes your perspective in ways like, for example, standing on the end of the diving board. And once I finish my competitions, if I've done a great competition or if I've done a bad competition, I can go home and, you know, Robbie's going to be there smiling and wanting cuddles, and it just makes everything better anyway.
Have you and Lance got a nanny to help you?
No, Lance works from home, so Lance is like literally the superhero dad.
Wow,
he's
brilliant, isn't it?
He doesn't get much work done when I'm not there to help, but you know, he powers through.
I know that you've hooked up with Haven to kind of inspire this next generation of sports stars.
Haven has partnered with Team GB ahead of the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games, and you know they've invested £100 million into their parks to try and inspire kids to try new things. For example, I was at the Craig Tara Park yesterday and did the drop, which is like a 4-meter free fall onto a crash mat, which is similar to the diving, and I know, which was quite fun. I did rock climbing.
I couldn't do that.
Yeah, well, you could do rock climbing maybe, or aerial assault course, and then I finished the day with a bit of pottery. But you know, it's about getting kids and families outdoors and trying something new and inspiring them to be active and outdoors and just being, you know, it might be the start of something where they think, oh gosh, this could be something for me, and you know, get them into sport in some way.
Get away from the computer screens and do something.
Yeah, get outside, get into the fresh air, and just be kids.
Tom Daley chats to us on the show this afternoon. He told me that even though he's 25, just turned 25, as a diver, he feels quite old these days.
I'm the old man. I'm the granddad of the diving team. I'll tell you that. I know I'm 25, but I'm one of the oldest on the team, and I've been up on that platform for so long now. My first Olympics was 11 years ago.
I suppose that, you know, a supreme athlete will age completely differently to, you know, a big lazy lump like me, you know.
I mean, I do feel like my body has definitely aged very quickly in terms of like the constant impact. We hit the water at 35 miles an hour. Yeah. So it's a lot of impact on the body every single day.
25 going on 45, right?
It feels like that. You know, I've been you know, out traveling on my own to different competitions, doing things on my own. I've had to grow up pretty quickly, but you know, at the same time, don't get me wrong, I'm still 25 years old at heart.
You inspire me. You always have, not just in your professional career, but also in your personal life as well. What motivates you? Do you ever get up in the morning and think, do you know what, I can't be bothered today?
I mean, everyone wakes up, and if they don't want to go to school, they don't want to go to work. For me, I wake up and sometimes, I'm absolutely knackered. Robbie's probably kept me up all night, and the last thing I can think about is going and getting wet in the pool. But you do it. You get up and you go to the pool and you train and you do it, because if you know that the days that you don't go to the pool, you know that your competitors are. So you've just got to make sure that you have that goal and that dream and that ambition in your head, and you've got to keep fighting for it.
When Robbie cries in the middle of the night, is it you or Lance that gets up, or do you take it in turns?
If I'm being honest, Lance is a superhero when it comes to that, because if I've got training the next day, I have mornings off on Tuesdays and Thursdays currently.
Yeah.
So if it's a Monday night, I'll get up. If it's a Wednesday night, I'll get up. But if other than that, Lance is like very much protective of my sleep, because, you know, if he doesn't get to sleep, he might have a bit of a foggy head the next day for writing. Whereas if I don't get sleep, I might, you know, hurt myself.
Hurt yourself? No, we don't want that again. We don't want that again.
No, we don't need any more of that.
How is the shin? And because that was kind of linked to a hip injury and stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's all healing up nicely, actually. You know, I took some time off around when Robbie was born, and, you know, obviously that was the most amazing time in our life. And it actually just worked out so well to have that break for mind and body, and getting away from the pool and just focusing on, you know, now the biggest thing in my life, and that's my son. And it just changed the way that I think about training, changed the way I think about competition, and I was able then to come back 3 months later and be fresh and ready to go and excited about diving again.
Tom Daley is the diver who took the World Championship twice. Olympic bronze medalist, 2 gold medals at the 2010 Commonwealth Games. And a couple of years ago, Tom and his partner, Lance Black, got married. On Valentine's Day last year, he announced that he and his husband were expecting their first child through surrogacy. And their son, Robert, or Robbie as we call him, was just celebrating his first birthday a couple of months ago, the little Baba, and they're looking after him. And I asked Tom next, as a person who, along with his partner, has jumped through all these surrogacy hoops, I mean, you'll know just how detailed, how complicated the whole lengthy process is. I don't think people realise, do they?
Yeah, it is very complex, especially here in the UK, because the laws are very different to in the States, and we did it in the States. So but, you know, for us, it has been one of the most magical journeys, and we have a lifelong friend in our surrogate. We speak all the time, and she's just an absolute amazing woman, and she's just awesome.
You've got the added thing of, you know, growing up with the world watching you, you know, obviously your husband very high profile, and yourself as well.
I mean, I guess you could say that, but at the same time, when it comes to sport, you only can put pressure on yourself. You know, people can say things, people can have expectations and all that kind of stuff, but when it comes to actually executing on the day, you only feel the pressure that you put on yourself. So if you don't allow other people to put pressure on you, you can perform at your best. And yeah, I mean, there's like, even, you know, coming out was quite public, but it's just, you know, it's one of those things that hopefully in some way, shape or form, if like a young kid now, like looking back on it, if there was a young kid that was struggling with their sexuality and felt different and felt less than, hopefully, you know, seeing someone being able to do what they're doing, and it not being hindered, I think hopefully can help them feel less alone.
What you got to do now, you got to stay focused on this and just keep it clear in your mind. What's the deal? You know best.
You've got to do everything that you possibly can to just be in the best shape physically and mentally on the day of the competition. And then, you know, when it comes down to the competition, the best diver wins on the day.
Which will be you, of course.
Fingers crossed, but, you know, I'll do everything I can, but, you know, we'll see.
Do you think that you have inspired a new generation of divers?
I mean, it would be, I don't know. I mean, currently I have got set up the Tom Daley Diving Academy, which is across the whole of the UK, of like different centres where people can learn to dive from, you know, as soon as they're confident in water, to be able to learn to dive in all ages and varying levels. And I think that's something that I've always wanted to do, is to try and help people access diving a little easier.
Out of all the championships, Tom, that you've won and the world titles, is the one that you're sort of most proud of?
I've got to say probably 2017, the world title in Budapest, because after 2016 and not doing what I wanted to do in the individual event and knowing what I was capable of, to come back after that defeat and win the world championships the year after against the same divers, for me, that was something that I felt, you know, incredibly proud of.
And now you'll be looking forward to going home and seeing your baby.
Yes, exactly. We'll
what you like
cuddles.
at changing nappies and all that kind of thing. You've had to learn all this?
I'm like a Formula One wheel changer. I'm pretty speedy when it comes to nappy changing now.
Is there anything that surprised you about looking after? Because your life just completely changes, doesn't it, when you've got a baby?
Absolutely, and you just every day something surprising happens. Let me tell you that, because there's some interesting bodily functions that you just didn't even realise could actually happen, but it does.
Okay. And
yeah, sorry about
that. No. Sorry if you're having your lunch. On that note, we'll say thank you to Tom Daley for coming on to our show.
Thank
Cheers,
you very
Tom.
much. Thank you, Simon. See you later. Bye. Bye.